market like we were at 306, pulling back to 270. That's a 10% correction. Every bull market needs corrections. Like you can't have a market just go straight up forever. Every bull market needs some type of correction at some point. So we haven't had a test. If you look over here, this is like your NASDAQ chart. We haven't had a test of the 50 SMA on the NASDAQ this whole run. So now we got one. In general, the first test of a level tends to hold, right? So like your first test of the 9, first test of 20, first test of 50 SMA. These things tend to hold. Now, ideally for me, like I would have preferred a slight gap down or even a flat open. Chasing it up 1% after the price action has been so weak the last few days feels counterproductive in a way. So we'll have to be careful. So I think the plan for today, ideally this gap pulls back a little bit. If it does, like if we get any dip at the open, it's going to suck in some shorts. Like people be like, oh my God, here we go again. And then if we start to hold somewhere, like if we fill back half the gap or something like that, maybe 920 EMA, that's when we'll get, that's where we got to go with this thing. And then we're going to get ourselves, like a nice little shredder. So let's let this thing pull anywhere in here. And if we start to hold, we start looking at some longs. There's more than enough oversold tech stocks that are sitting on support that we can long, without having to chase too much. So let's go into kind of just overall watches. So you can see even like the stocks that we watch, like they're all what we'd call long in the tooth for the most part, even on the pre-market. Let me grab just to put a quick filter on this. Filter this. Cool. So that's the game plan for today. We'll see what's really going down. Now let's think about like what kind of stocks if we have an oversold market, like how do you want to play? There's two things that you can do. You don't want to really do anything in the middle. So you either want to look at stocks that held up really well that are near a breakout, right? So there's two aspects of things that you want to look at. So you want to look at stocks that have been held up really well, that are possibly near some type of breakout, because those are going to have relative strength, right? So stocks that have relative strength tend to be the new leaders or the new ones that start to go. So like things that are holding up pretty well, right? Penn is still near basically highs. This whole dump. I mean, really, we only lost a couple points out of this thing, and it's really just right back to where it was. So Penn is one of them, right? Peloton, even yesterday, when the market was getting rolled, Peloton was still really cooking in the morning. It was still cooking in the morning. So you can see here, like you're up 4% at the open, so you can't chase this thing up. But like if we get a little pull at this at the open, I think we watch and see if this one's got a chance to hold. Man, it's gonna have a nice little move today, I think. What else has been holding? Innox has been holding up pretty well. This is a hot IPO that's been just like cooking and booking this whole time. You're already up about 15% this morning, so we can't chase it up right off the bat. But any type of pullback on a stock like this, you want to add. So we got Penn, Peloton, Innox. So those are the stocks that are cooking, that are like at breakout, right? So they're defying gravity. Now the second part of how you want to play like an oversold pullback when the market's sitting on some level of support is you want to be looking for stocks that are also oversold, that are showing a similar pattern to the overall market, that may be bouncy, like stocks that have just been smoked out that need to come back and bounce. So like what are some really, really oversold stocks that, could use a squeeze? Like this DocuSign, right? $300 stock is pulled back to $200. You're sitting on multiple levels of support there. That's going to be something that has a really, really kind of low risk area too. If you really think about it, like you have a couple levels of support underneath. So like this is something, if the market especially pulls at the open, or even if it doesn't pull, if the market doesn't pull at the open and we just need something that hasn't moved like a trailer, then this one's going to be fine as a trailer, and we'll have a good shot at this. What's another one that's really oversold? OSTK, right? This is a $30 stock. It's gone down to 60, so you've been cut in half, more than half actually. So you got a nice oversold pullback on this bad boy. You're at the 14 stochastics, you're at the lower Bollinger Band, and this is also like what you're starting to see here. What do you notice on this? You're starting to like kind of build out some supports the last couple of days. When you get something that's really oversold, so bottoms are never like a one-time thing. Oftentimes they're more of a process. They take a little bit of ebb and flow where you kind of pop and drop and build out that support. You're starting to see a little bit of that on this. That one looks very, very bouncy. What else looks pretty oversold? This ACMR, I found this yesterday. Man, this thing has been getting smoked out. So this was like a hot IPO for this whole year. Now, granted, it was, $8 and, got up to 120, so it's got to pull back. But this one is also, like, you can see the rate of descent has been really speeding up. Now you're starting to get parabolic. The 90 EMA on this is $80. So you've got, like, a long way where this thing can start to drop. Now, it may need a little bit more pull. You got multiple levels of support here, 50 and then, like, 55. May need just a little bit more juice. If you can get it, I think this one's got a chance for like a big kind of snapback too. My issue on this one is going to be more like a liquidity thing. Is it going to be able to give us enough liquidity for us to be able to kind of shake and bake out of it without just, getting all upside ourselves? So that's something to just something to kind of keep mind of. Gold's not doing anything. Yeah, we're right on the support. I think we're going to be good to go. So those are kind of my oversold stocks. Now let's talk about EV. EV stocks were really hot yesterday. You had Workhorse and you had Nikola, right? So you got Workhorse, Nikola. Nikola, I believe, is going to have a day two. You're already filling back some of the gap, which is awesome. Ideally, we want to see that. When you get a stock like this, a little bit of a shakeout is going to be good. Let's see how this thing comes back. Like if it starts to hold, I'd say like anywhere around 49. That 49 zone was the breakout spot from yesterday, right? That consolidation that kind of took it up. Anything in that 49 zone, if it starts to hold, watch and see how the marination goes. Like, does this start to get picked up? If it does, then we'll get a day two out of this one. Workhorse had a big breakout yesterday. Well, it's been breaking out for a few days, I should say. You see here, you got a nice trend line break over here, and then the attack of highs, which have failed off a little bit yesterday. You're kind of right in a nice sweet spot on this one. This one's got a chance, the Nikola news obviously is going to help it a little bit yesterday. When one of them starts to go, they all, kind of start to pick up on this. This one looks pretty good. So I would add that as a day two play. That goes in the strength sector, right? So Nikola, Workhorse, they go in the strength sector, not the oversold sector. But keep both of those on your watch list. They're going to get picked up. Next one, FMCI. FMCI was really, this thing's about to bust loose again. This looks like one of them. Now that it's starting to trend like it's going to get picked up, it's going to get picked up over and over. I don't know if the earnings just came out or if they're coming out after after hours. But this one has a chance to really, the original dip got bought up after the breakout. Now you're retesting that high. This one's going to look pretty good. Good. Now let's take a look at some of the gappers. So those are the faves for today. I know everybody's got like, well, what about this one? What about that one? There are no whatabouts. Those are the best. Those are the best. So there's no whatabouts. Yeah, I would add ZM to the list too, though. ZM is hot. ZM, so this push was on earnings. Now you've come back. So you got a $480 push. You retraced $120 of that move. You pull back to the 9 EMA. And same type of deal. Like if you look at this is a 15-minute chart, you always look at, when you're looking at your charts, like look at it from a couple different angles, couple different time frames. So what you can start to see here is, okay, you've built out some support at 350s. We call that the marination station. See this 350? That's the station. And this is the marination. So you got a marination station going right up at 350, starting to build. Once it starts to hold and build, it'll start to speed up, right? You start to see a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low before you go. And Jordan, didn't I just tell you these are the best ones? There are no whatabouts. No whatabouts. These are the best. Adam Matt, what's up, baby? So keep that one on the list too. That one's hot. We can't chase it up 5%. But in general, like it's going to be hot. Now let's take a look at the gappers. Let's see if there's any good earnings plays. ITCI, biotech stock, 49 million share flow, blah, 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 blah. Hey, you come in late. I mean, no, I'm just teasing. Yeah, I'd add this thing, ITCI, if the volume holds up. So it's got 2 million shares in volume already. These biotech stocks, if they thin out too much, they stink. But this one's got 2 million shares. Maybe it holds. I don't like when they start to fade off the opening tick in pre-market. Because if they do that, then, they can often be dug. It's like, what was that elbow stock yesterday? That it was doing that a little bit yesterday. And you see what happened the whole day was, like, it opened, and then it just kind of got shredded, like there was nothing in it. My worry on this ITCI, I don't like when they come in, that first tick, and then they start getting faded off. They just don't work right. Trill. Why you acting so trill? This, if you like small caps, 3 million shares, it's not too low price. This one is going to be tradable. I don't have a float reading on this. TC does not show one. But I'm guessing it's going to be pretty low. If you like a little small cap stock, like I'm not going to trade this, but this one could have a chance. Yeah. Woo! If you look here, so check out the weekly chart on this. You're breaking out to levels that it hasn't really been at since 2017. So when you get like a bigger, that bigger multi-year type of breakout, they can really go. So I believe this one's, it should move pretty well. The volume is there on it. And frankly, we've seen in this market, like sometimes these kind of like dumpier little stocks, like they start pushing out of nowhere. So I'd roll with that and put it on your watch list. I can't put it on mine, but it's good. It looks pretty good. These kind of multi-year breakouts, they work really well. NNOX, we talked about. NNOX this thing is hot to trot. The problem with NNOX, and we're going to need a little pull on this. The problem with NNOX is going to be the spread. If anybody's ever seen it, like the spread actually helps in a way, because when it starts to like break out, because the spread is so big, everybody's got to chase it. So you get like a group of traders, right? And whoever fucking missed it, right? They got to end up chasing it. So you end up with this, like, when the spread is there and people start attacking on the ask because they got a market order to get it, it can go crazy. But it can also be stressful if you understand that you're not supposed to chase, then, right, it doesn't, it doesn't work as good. Oh, yeah. I think this one will have a chance. We just got to be careful with the spread, of course. Ideally, like when I played this one, what I do is like I will go in, say I want to get like 500 shares or whatever, right? I'll level in between the bid and ask, 100, and you see me mention the chat room, like, hey, check this out. It looks like it's forming or whatever. And, as it's like getting closer to the breakout, but not at the breakout, you don't want to chase it, I'll start adding 100 between the bid and ask, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, till I get where I need to be on it, and then it's golden. So then by the time it breaks out, I've got myself like kind of my full-size position. But I'll always, on a stock like this, I'll level in 100, 100, 100. Even if I got to get to 1,000, I won't add 1,000 at once. 100, 100, 100. Only because of the spread. Like if it was a regular stock, like say you're trading Tesla or something. No, like you don't scale in and out. Like you wait for your perfect entry and then you just shatter it, right? And go for it. But like on something with a little bit of a spread, 100, 100, 100. So this NLS is getting pumped by Citron today. So they put out, I believe, a little research report that said this is like the next Peloton. I don't know what that fucking means. I haven't seen any Nautilus machines since the Arnold Schwarzenegger days. That's like, back in like Venice Beach. So who knows what's going on. These guys that make the Bowflex, man, the Bowflex was the hottest thing around. Now, I will say there's a big breakout here at 16. If this thing starts to pull, and hold, all right. If this thing starts to pull and hold, at some point, if it attacks at 1590, it may not happen today. But if it starts to attack that 1590, woo, the float on this is really tiny. Like it'll be able to push. So I would actually keep that on the list for the next couple days. It may not just be today, but like for the next couple days, I won't chase it up today because, usually when Citron, announces these things, they've obviously been loading in for 10 days, right? Before they make their announcements on these things. Yeah, we'll have to wait a little bit on it. Now everybody's been looking at Tesla. Yes, Tesla's at the 50 SMA. This is in a bounce zone. You can't chase it up, obviously, 7-8%. It was down 20 yesterday. And in the post-market, it doesn't show it over here, but in the post-market, let me see if I can find it. In the post-market, this thing got to like 308, 310. So, you had, it was like $400, and then by the end of the day, right, it was $300. So, this thing obviously is on a little bit of a discount. You're sitting on a nice support here at the 50 SMA. This is going to be another one of those too. Like I won't chase this thing up, 8% today. If you pull back, if this thing pulls back, it fills half the gap. Watch the 920 EMA on the 5-minute chart. If it pulls back half the gap, I think we come in hot on this thing. Measure the risk down to, the 50 SMA. I need that snap. I can't chase it up 7-8%. We'll be good to go. On the rest of this stuff, I think that's the list I'm sticking to it. Yeah, Big C is kind of a daily trader for us at this point. We trade it pretty much every day because of the range. So I wouldn't say it's a setup in itself. It's just a daily trader. There's certain stocks that you're just going to always be trading. Michael Galindo, I don't know if Nikola is a short, there's some news on it yesterday. At some point, yeah, it'll pull back and stuff. I would think overall, at least on a technical level, and I don't understand much about the news on it, but on a technical level, that's like a rounding pattern, or what we'd call a rounding pattern. It's a bottoming pattern, and so at some point, if this thing gets, pulled back, I think somebody probably comes in and picks it up. Not the easiest short. I think there's other stocks out there that you can short pretty easy. Especially when the sector itself is hot, it's hard to get a short for more than a couple days sometimes. Let me see, FSOI. Yeah, FSOI looks okay, but this one has got a ton of resistance. It's in a congestion zone. When you see a stock that's just like kind of zigzagging around, but there's no room between where it is and where its moving averages are, where its price resistance is, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. You just don't get the heat that you need. Does that make sense? So like I want to see cleaner stocks. Correct. Yeah, I want to see a little bit cleaner stocks. Just need to be, man. Is anybody's TC 2000 charts not update all the way? Hey KP, what's up, baby? All right. Apple. Yeah. I mean, I think I was hoping for 100 on it. Didn't get there. Yeah, I think there's probably just cleaner stocks out there. Trials halted on mRNA AZN. Ooh, that I could get into. Yeah, you're gonna see that a lot. So like a lot of these names that you'll start to see out here, whether it's AZN or mRNA or whatever it might be. I think you'll start to see a lot of these kind of, trials halted type of news out. Ain't nobody got a coronavirus vaccine. If they're going to have one, they're going to already have it. This mRNA's a dead. So I do think probably, the easy short is on it. I mean, they've figured out for a long time, right, that this thing is not going to have anything. But, it might be worth a little bit of a goose and a gander. Let me see if there's anything with some bad news. Ugh. So Works looks like it's got its earnings out today. Down 16%. Woo, nasty. Yeah, you could probably put that one on the watch list. Lulu. Looks like Lulu. Did Lulu have its earnings out today too? I believe it did. Lulu, I think suppressed street discussion. Stuck down. Lulu, I would put on your watch list. It usually moves around pretty good on earnings days. Only down about 4%. I'd keep that on the gapper list for today. Lulu trades easier than Work. Work is a thick little noodle. Add both of those for gappers. Good, that's the list. That's the hot spot. Remember, you got Workhorse, Nikola, OSTK, Big C, Peloton, Penn, and Knox, which might be the best one out of the group. And then, don't forget Docu and ZM. You know it, baby. It's got to be tough to track. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. Now, the game plan, I'm going to just reiterate the game plan. Our ideal game plan, we don't want to chase this bad boy up at the open if we don't have to. All right? If we get a little shake and bake, what we'd call it. A shake and bake is when, right, you pull back, everybody's like, oh, fuck. And the short comes in. And then, boom, we snatch it back the other way, and then we grind up the rest of the day. My guess is we get a gap and grind type of day. We're due for one. Gap and grind. Gap and grinds are a little bit tricky because if you don't get the hot entry at the open, you will be literally plucking your ball hairs the rest of the day, watching stocks go up, wondering if you should chase it, not chase it. Am I chasing it? Am I not chasing it? And it becomes very, very tricky. So you got to get that hot entry at the open. If you don't get one, and it ends up being, we don't know if it's going to be a gap and grind, right, day, but if it ends up being one, then you end up with just, it ends up stinking. Showtime. Never rain out. Cool. Good. Good. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. We got no time to fluff today. Alright, cool. Guys, that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Increment 100. Good. Let's do this, guys. Space could work, Vaughn. Make these fucking things skinnier. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. It's hot. It's too hot. All right. Let's do this, guys.